ሰላም ጤና ይስጥልኝ. This is Bethlehem Bekele from Kinet. Welcome to another one of our recordings. Today we have I have two guests on the show today. They are the co-founders of N.E.R.D Research and Development Center, or N.E.R.D, located in Ethiopia. We have Nati Kapede and Minas Getu. I'd like you guys to welcome them, and we'll hear a little bit about their story. Welcome, gentlemen.
Danish Betty.
እንዴት ናችሁ?
What's up? ሰላም ነው?
አለን እግዚአብሔር ይመስገን. Welcome. Thank you so much for doing this. I know it's late in Ethiopia right now, but I really do appreciate you guys taking your time to share your story about N.E.R.D. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
a
So let's start let's start from the top, right? So tell me a little bit about N.E.R.D and what brought it up. What is it about first? Let's start about that.
So basically, we co-founded this center. This is something we've been planning for a while, but about a month ago, we opened up the center. Initially, it was supposed to be a research and development center. I mean, that is still what it is. But we want to build prototypes, robotics, 3D printing, giving a place for engineers, hobbyists, anybody who's interested to have a space where they can work, build prototypes, work on their thesis if they're students. So it was just a center, a research center. But then this Corona thing happened, so we decided to focus on something Corona related. So this kind of happened by accident in the sense that some of the researchers built a oxygen ventilator, and it sort of blew up online, and we've been getting contacted by doctors, by ministers, people who've been interested in getting us to try to be able to mass produce this here. So, I mean, when it comes to the technical details about the actual ventilator, Nati can give you most of that. But so, I mean, we founded the center together, and like I said, the idea was it was a place for people to, build prototypes and, work on their passion, innovate. But then, we found a problem, and some of the kids there at the research
Started looking for a solution.
Yeah. So
that's wonderful. Nati, thank you so much, Nati. Minas, you want to give me a little bit of the detail? Because I'm really excited about your story and I want us to kind of dive into it, but I would like to hear from your point of view as well.
Nati.
All right, so yeah, N.E.R.D, it's research. So it's actually a very good space for engineers, especially nerds. So that's actually the other meaning for the space. So we as engineers in Ethiopia don't have that much of resources to innovate, to prototype in regards to engineering. So that was the whole point of the founding of this space. So we wanted engineers, especially not only graduates or students, but also experts or anybody who is interested into building things, experimenting, can come to the space and just create a community where knowledge is shared among enthusiasts and different kind of projects to the world, not just to Ethiopia. We want to show off that Ethiopians are capable of doing things that can actually manifest to the world. And as Minas was saying, like COVID-19 just happened, and that seems to be the first problem. So as engineers, we were like, okay, how are we gonna uh, help in regards to the situation? So we are making a research in regards to different ways to help with the situation, and we were looking for we were studying how Spain, China, Italy, how
Mhm.
they're all fighting against this pandemic. So there were actually different ways that people were trying to fight against this pandemic. So as engineers, the one that challenged us most was the oxygen ventilator. So there was this project by Spain engineers that they developed this easily fabricatable, not as much complicated device that can be rapidly mass produced and help as many patients possible before they are in the ICU. So we actually accepted their challenge and we use their blueprint and rebuild the whole process and start learning with that and try to add some of our modifications. And we actually, as Nerd, we value open source knowledge. This is not something that's common in Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, most
Mm,
of the
mm,
most of the development kind of environment regarding technology, it's usually protected with patent or something like that. And we actually want to create this open source environment to the community where we can design our own prototype and just share the blueprint to the whole world and do our contribution at the same time. So yeah.
that's wonderful. I mean, there's so many, just even based on the conversation we're having now, there's so many things that are different from what we're used to culturally. The whole open source environment, like you mentioned, is completely new. So
Yeah.
I feel like you guys, do you feel like you're kind of bringing Ethiopia to the next, what we're hoping to be the next step in the change or evolution with this process? And have you seen a difference from when you first started as far as people's involvement and their openness to accept what you're doing to where you guys are now?
So I mean, literally, we opened the center about a month ago, and
So you
this was
haven't seen anything.
this was our first project, and
Okay.
feedback was immediately it was immediately we got the positive feedback. I mean, we've been
Fantastic.
everybody's been contacting us from doctors to ministers, you know, companies. A lot of people have been giving us positive feedback, and I guess at a time like this, everyone seems to want to do something to help.
That's wonderful. So one of the things that I loved about your story is about Nerd. Besides, I didn't realize it was an open source environment that you were creating. It was more for me, what kind of resonated for me is that the message we've been sending, or I've been trying to share with people, is don't feel like we are helpless in this situation. Let's find out what we can do um, during this pandemic to help each other out. So for me, that is really what I was most moved about your story. From my understanding, your intention was to cultivate a space for people to come together. But now you have transitioned to what seems to be, I think there's a calling that's even bigger than yourself now that you're focusing on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
yeah, in regards to that, like yes, it was before a month ago we actually started the whole process, but before that, the we had a website. We wanted to engage with the young communities, the youth, regarding DIY projects. So we wanted to show them how to build things by themselves using the resources they have. So usually in our community, we always uh say that we don't have resources in regards to like doing things, and that's always, in my opinion, that's always the complaining part of the whole situation. So we wanted to do DIY videos of how you can hack what's around you and just you can still use those resources and just you can do things. So as engineers, like we have potential in in the scope that you can never imagine. Like I have seen that in different schools. Back in my experience, I used to be a lecturer at a university, so I have seen students with true power to actually do bigger things. But it's not just about lack of resource, it's just about the mindset that they feel like they're trapped in this country without resource, but they're actually surrounded by resources. So the whole point of this center is just to show people that you don't need to go to some developed country to have resources in regards to building innovations or some big. You can actually do it right at your desk if you have the mindset to do it. So it's more of like this at this situation at this COVID-19, we actually want to shine our Ethiopian engineers. We are calling out to them to show off that you can do a lot. Like it's all about mindset. Like we're calling out a challenge, the N.E.R.D challenge. So we want engineers at their houses building prototypes regarding ventilators or any kind of project that can help the fight this pandemic. So that can be a way not just to solve this problem, but to actually motivate the young and to thinking that we are not just trapped in our country. Like we're resourceful, and especially this time, I mean, we're surrounded by people. I mean, the responses we've got showed us that we are surrounded by positive minded people that can be very resourceful in regards to anything we want to accomplish. So this also we want to be a platform that can show up that all right, this can happen in Ethiopia, so what's next? So we want to reflect on that as well.
Thank you so much. I mean, I do hear, I grew up in the States, but I was born in Ethiopia. So I'm and I'm very culturally grounded here, as far as our upbringing is concerned. But a lot of the feedback that I'm getting from people were raised in Ethiopia is what you mentioned, that resources are not available. We don't have the things that are outside of Ethiopia. So you being, like you mentioned, you are a lecturer, you being were you guys in Ethiopia for a very long time? And if you were, how did you overcome that mindset? Was there a shift, and what created that?
Yeah. So for me, in A, I was born and raised here, Ethiopia, Kadrojambo.
Okay.
So I actually I had a passion for science from the old days. So I went to the military school and studied aviation, aeronautical engineering, and it's actually that moment that I have realized that we are resourceful. Like seeing that space, that environment, being around with matured people who have done a lot for their country, that was the turning spot for me to think like, oh, we're actually resourceful. So I felt obligated after that to actually do good for the community in regards to showing that potential in uh, Ethiopia as general.
Mm,
So we always complain about how the school system is that or this, but at the end of the day, if we get to adapt the situation, that's actually something we've learned in that school. It's just you need to adapt the situation and try to work around it. Then that's the turning point for me to see resources around me, and having that attitude just gave me partners, gave me friends, gave me resources. So it's just
right.
the mindset itself changed everything. So that was the turning point for me, and having that community, having that people surrounding me. So I think I'm trying to be the same person who I was surrounded by
Pay
back
forward.
then.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And Minat?
I mean, for my case, I mean, one of the reasons why I moved out here, I've been here for 3 years now. It's so I'm also born and raised in the States, but I mean, I've spent a lot of time traveling and I've lived in several different countries. But I mean, from my perspective, I see this as a place that's it's growing. It has so much potential, and I mean, like I said, it's one of the reasons why I moved out here. I can see the potential. I see things changing very fast, and I think I think I'm in the right place at the right time.
Don't call me home. You're calling me home, Minas. That's what you're doing when you're telling me these things. I think people that are abroad, our heart is always in Ethiopia, right? So, but I think we are not sure how we can be of help.
Mhm.
As we do see Ethiopia changing, we do see um, a lot of people moving back too. I know more than a handful of my friends that have moved back. So
Mhm.
seeing what N.E.R.D is doing, working with what we have, that mindset, re-educating kind of, or changing the mindset that we're used to, because it is, part of it I feel like is, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak about it as if I'm an expert on this, but I do notice that our people tend to be see the bigger picture, and the small details we can miss. So seeing what you guys are doing and how far you've come in such a small amount of time from when you started, and opening your doors only a month ago, like you said, even though you were doing stuff in the background, you're definitely, playing with my heartstrings here. So that I might have to start rethinking and recalculating my time frame. So thank you so much for that. Now I want to know, what is your ask, because I've worked with so many small businesses. Even though this is a research and development, for me it's still a business. That's how I look at it. And
Yeah,
small businesses, it takes a full community, the support of the community, the support of the people for it to flourish. I do see, and I have heard you guys saying that it's an environment for your community, the people that have similar mindsets to come and work to, so that we can all grow together, is kind of what I'm hearing. But what is your ask of those people who may not necessarily be engineers? What do you need? What does N.E.R.D need help with?
I mean, so in regards to the oxygen ventilators, I mean, we're trying to get funding. We're working on getting a GoFundMe page going. I think we can share that with you guys when it's ready. But yeah, we need funding to produce enough prototypes. We're in talks with some companies who are willing to mass produce. So our idea is basically, once we're finished with the prototypes, we can give the designs and blueprints to these companies and let them handle the mass manufacturing. And so right now, Ethiopia has about 450 ventilators in the whole country. Country of
Wow.
more than 100 million people. So the
Wow.
Ministry of Health is saying they're expecting a need for 1,500 by the end of the month and 100,000 in the coming 3-4 months.
Oh, wow.
So basically, what we're asking for right now is just the funding to help us finish this project and get those out. But long term, I mean, it's this is a place for people to share ideas, a place for people to learn. If people are interested in funding and investing, we're happy with that too. But this is not just a place only for engineers or only. I mean, everyone has something they can do. They can. So we have the website, the do-it-yourself, the UCAT for Ethiopia, is a website that
Okay.
made, which is a do-it-yourself website. We're not necessarily focusing only on engineering. I mean, it could be anything. It could be digital media. You could teach a class on yoga. You could teach a class on
Oh,
fitness,
fantastic.
whatever you want it to be. The idea is that this website would basically have do-it-yourself videos in local languages. So abouting out, ordering out, ticketing out,
Mm.
whatever you
Oh,
want to teach.
fantastic. Okay. Hmm.
Uh, you know, so I mean, again, we're trying to create space for anybody to be able to contribute, and that's
If
so
that's wonderful. Please, I mean, please share is the website on, and is it on right now? Is it live?
the website is live, and
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we're looking for teachers. Anybody who has something they want to teach and post it up on the site. Do it yourself videos and step by step. I mean, it's pretty easy to use.
If you can spell it for us, for those people who might want to, after watching this, want to participate or even just research you guys.
Sure.
If we can do cat first, and then we'll go back to N.E.R.D.
Sure. The website Ukat for Ethiopia, EWKET, the number 4 Ethiopia.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And is there anything before you, I mean, Any last words you want to share with people? And then if you guys can share where they can find you, where they can find Nerd, that'd be great as well.
Sure. I mean, just want to thank everybody for their support and keep supporting us. Like I said, we'll be putting up a GoFundMe soon if you want to support us. Um, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're on every single social media platform right
Social
now.
media,
Yeah,
okay.
so, we're trying.
Yeah.
Well,
So the last thing I want to mention, if you give me a second, so research is something that we're missing in this country. So I always want to emphasize on this. So we as country are lagging regarding technology because we don't believe in research. So we actually want to be the frontier in regards to prototype development, not mass production. So everybody's asking us, keep on asking us, are you mass manufacturing this product? Why aren't you not mass manufacturing this product? But the goal of the center is not just to mass manufacture and try to monopolize the whole product development process, but to actually research. So we need funding to research. So we need to think in a way that we need to believe in research. Like research change a whole lot of countries. So and research need to be privatized at the same time. Not only universities are rightful for research. We need to have. I mean, we have engineers in bulk. So if we can privatize research, that can be a way to actually give a job to the unemployed engineer. So we actually can, we actually can create a space for engineers to research, develop products. So I'm sorry if I'm just saying research and engineering over
no,
and
it's an
over.
important part. No, yeah, it's
Yeah.
an important thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, we have engineers in bulk, and I believe the only way we can utilize that resource is since we don't have the industry to hire all these engineers, the only way we can utilize this resource is outsourcing private research, and this can be uh, from the country itself
Done in
or
house, right?
world,
Absolutely.
from anywhere. Like we have knowledge here, so the only way we can utilize that is just by a research. That's the way I see it. So this is actually the whole goal of the space. So and it's not just about
I do
engineering.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, no, no. Please continue. I will say my piece at the end. Don't worry.
So yeah, I mean, in regards to not just about engineering, it can be arts, it can be whatever, but like we need to bring that mentality that we need to research before actually, because that's the only reason we're just importing technology, because we're not researching by ourselves. We can actually export technology. I mean, the world's becoming digital these days, so we have a mind here, we have human resource here. They're all educated. They don't have a job. So if we can find a space such as this and just outsource projects from anywhere in the world, then we can
To
actually,
Ethiopia.
yeah, we can actually do something great. And I think we're missing out the human resource aspect of our situation as Ethiopians. So yeah, we are resourceful in regards to engineering. Like 80% of university graduates, or 70%, if I'm not sure about the exact number, but every year they're engineers, and they're the most unemployed.
So
So
knowledge is there.
yep, knowledge is here. So I mean, the only way we can utilize it is we don't have the industry here, so we can't hire them. So the only way we can utilize them is through research. So they can be researchers, and I'm telling you, people with potentials here will. It's not what you expect. They're actually really, really bright-minded, fully capable engineers out here. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that I can co-sign. I have several friends. I know people that were educated in Ethiopia that are their mind is amazing. Their problem solving skills is just the way they think things through. It's amazing. So without a doubt, in my mind, there's definitely knowledge there. So you guys, people like you creating N.E.R.D, and I'm sure this will be an example for other people or give ideas for other people to do things very similarly as well. I'm hoping anyway. But creating this environment for people to their their knowledge for it to be used, it's going to be centralized. And when people want something, like you said, research is right there in Ethiopia. And I think that's like where the seed, that's how it's going to show us how it's going to grow. And I think I do agree with you as far as, based on my knowledge, that research is definitely something that leads to the bigger piece. There's a lot of work that needs to be done before something beautiful and grand happens at the end. And this is the part you're talking about. The research is what you're talking about. So I really do wish you guys the very best. I thank you so much for taking your time. And I'm really hoping that our viewers will see and will understand why I was so passionate about making sure that we talk, because this thing, to me, in a time like this where we can be discouraged, you guys are coming and saying, you know what, yes, this was our original plan, but there are a couple of things I learned. Basically, what I felt when I was talking, when I heard about and when I read about N.E.R.D. One, you adjusted very quickly to the need of the times, which is so important. And two, you did not feel like, well, this was our plan, now we're kind of, what are we going to do? So you didn't feel helpless. You really rolled up your sleeves and said, okay, how can we help our country? And so for that, I thank you so very much. And I wish you guys the best of luck, and let us know when your GoFundMe page is on. I will share it on our Kinet Faith website as well and our Facebook as well. So I thank you so very much for coming, Minas and Nati.
We thank you too. Thank you for
Thank you.
having us. Really awesome.
Thank you. The